Good morning, afternoon, or evening. How y'all doing today? Welcome back to Mr. Morrow's Algebra 2 class. Today we're going to continue talking about linear functions, and we're going to really talk about the most important part, I think, in my opinion, of a line, okay, or of a linear function, and that's the slope. The slope is basically the angle at which a line is headed. The best way to think about this, in my opinion, is to think of a ski slope, okay? Think of an actual ski slope. You think of a ski slope, all right, you have a mountain and you're going to ski down this path, right? You're going to ski down that path, correct? Okay. Now, they call it a slope because there is an average that they figure out. And they figure out the horizontal change, okay, the up and down, the vertical change over the horizontal change. So it's the vertical change, the up and down change, over the horizontal change, the left and right change. And that's what slope is. Okay? Slope is the vertical change divided by the horizontal change. That's what slope is. Now, slopes or rates of changes, okay, they're the same thing. We're going to explain why they have different names. Is again the ratio of the vertical change over the horizontal change. Okay? Now think about this. The vertical change, we're dealing with movement on the y-axis. So the vertical change is dealing with the y values, and the y values are the dependent variables. And we're doing a ratio of the vertical change over the horizontal change, which is the change in the independent variable, which is the x, because horizontal, you're going left to right, so you're talking about x changes. Now, the only difference between the slope and the rate of change is that the rate of change actually involves units. So if I just tell you to find the slope of 2 points, random points, that's slope. But if I give you a situation where you have points that you have to find a slope with, but that have units, feet, miles, inches, time, units, that's called a rate of change. That's the only difference. Now, the slope formula, I love it when the board does that. Spectacular. Okay, let's see one more time. All right. Maybe this time it'll work. All right. So we've got rise over run or fall over run. This is something that a lot of people don't really teach, okay? Everyone knows rise over run. But if you notice, I put a rise over run with a positive here because when it's positive, you are going up and then you are going to run. When it's negative, you are going to go down. That's why it's a fall over run. Now, when we're graphing this later on, remember to always run to the right. You rise if the slope is positive. You fall or go down if the slope is negative. But you always run to the right. You always run to the right. Okay? And this is going to become very significant when we're graphing equations using this slope-intercept method. So we know the slope is a rise over run or a fall over run, depending on whether or not it's positive or negative. And the equation, which slope equals the letter m, the lowercase letter m, please do not put a capital M. That is the representation of midpoint. Lowercase m is slope, though, and it equals your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1, y1 is 1 point, and x2, y2 is the second point. It does not matter who you choose as x1 and y1 or x2 and y2. What you cannot do is mix and match. What am I talking about? If I tell you to find the slope of the line that goes through, let's say, 2, 3, and whatever, I'm just making stuff up, 5, 8, okay? This is x1, y1, because that's my first point. This is x2, y2, because that's my second point. I don't care who you called x1, y1. If you wanted to call 2, 3, x2, y2, that's fine. What you cannot do is mix and match. So you can't say, oh, this is x1, but then this is y1. And this is x2, and then this is y2. No, you can't do that. You cannot mix and match. You have to choose who you want to label, how you want to label it, and then you got to be consistent. So this is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've got 5/3 would be my slope. Okay? That's where we're going with this. But this should all be familiar. Now, I need you to understand that the slope or rate of change is constant throughout its own linear equation or function. Whenever you're graphing a line, the slope is not going to change in that particular line. Think of a staircase, okay? Think of a staircase. If I have a staircase, will you ever see this? Right? Have you ever seen a staircase like that? And you will never see a staircase like that because they build a staircase based on a line, based on a slope. There's a line here that each one of these little corners is going to hit. This is not in that slope. It's not in that line. So the slope of a line is consistent throughout the whole entire line. So if we go back to, let's say, if we go back to a slope for skiing, okay? Let's say that just for giggles, from the top here, okay, I have a horizontal distance here of, let's just say, I don't know, 1,000. I'm just making stuff up. And the height of the mountain, though, is, let's say, 18,000 feet. Again, I'm just making these up. I'm not a skier, so don't get mad at me or anyone out there. Okay, isn't this my vertical change? Right? So you got 18,000 feet. That's my vertical change over my horizontal change of 1,000. Feet over feet. So I'm talking about 18 feet over 1 foot. This is now officially a rate of change because there's units. Now, what does this mean? And actually, I'm a fool. You're going down, so it's negative. Sorry. So what does this mean? That means that I'm going down 18 feet for every foot over. 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 And I keep that slope all the way till I'm down to the end. That's why a ski slope is called a slope, because there is a constant or average vertical change over the horizontal change. Does this slope concept make sense? Sir, my brother. That would be a fall over run because you're negative. Thank you, my man. Does that make sense, my brothers? The concept makes sense. You understand what slope entails. Think of a staircase. Think of a ski slope. You with me? Promise? Okay. May I continue? Okay. So now, let's do some examples. Find the rate of change. Please remember that a rate of change is the same as a slope, except it includes units of measurement. So, okay, the first thing I'm going to do here is I always want to define who my x and who my y is. Remember that my x is always independent and my y is always dependent. So here, who are the x's and who are the y's? Yes, sir. Very good. This is x. You're darn right. Hint, hint, guys. Time is always independent. Time does not matter. It doesn't depend on anything. Whether it's a happy day or a sad day, time is passing. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. So now I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. And now I'm going to follow my formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this equals 260 feet every 1 minute. What does this mean? This means that forever, whatever's happening in this particular function, I am going up 260 feet for every 1 minute. Every minute I'm going up another 260 feet, or I'm traveling another 260 feet. Every minute, my distance increases by 260 every minute. Yes, sir, my brother. Yes, across the board, it's going to be consistent. Yes, sir. Once you find the slope of a function, it's constant throughout the whole entire equation. Thank you, sir. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So, like always, I always break everything down. So, first thing you always got to do, remember to always find your independent and dependent variables first, which I already talked about. Then label your x1 and y1. Then label your x2 and y2. And in this case, time is the x-axis. Time is the x variable, the independent. So we went ahead and in a much neater form, I did it, but I already showed you by hand how and why that happened. Does that make sense, guys? Promise. Okay. And then remember, the slope or rate of change is constant throughout its own linear equation or function. It is constant. It will not change. Feel me? Okay. Now, there are 4 kinds of slope. Okay? 4 kinds of slope. You have a positive slope, which is always going to be going up from left to right, kind of like a plane taking off. Please remember, guys, that math is like English. You read from left to right. So from left to right, this is going up. A negative slope, you go down from left to right. Down, like a plane landing. Zero slope. A zero slope does not go up or down. It is literally just a horizontal line that goes to the y-axis and only the y-axis and stays constant on a straight horizontal line. There's something very special about a zero slope, though. Finding the equation to a zero slope line is ridiculously easy if you pay attention to what I'm about to say. Does this zero slope line here that I have, does it ever go through x? It never goes through x because although 0 is the slope, the equation for a zero slope line will always be y equals a, where a is the intersection point. So in this particular case, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going through the 5. So my equation, not the slope, guys, I need you to understand this. The equation would be y equals 5. So whenever you have a zero slope, and they tell you that it goes through a particular point, the equation is y equals the particular y value that it happens to go through. Yes, sir, my brother. No, when you're thinking about the slope-intercept form, and b is the y-intercept, which is the y value on the y-axis when x is 0. The x and y-axis, though, sir, the x and y-axis, though, sir, are right here. This is my x-axis. That's my y-axis. So no, the b in the slope-intercept form is not the y-axis. Thank you, though, for asking. Okay, so zero slope, horizontal line, it's always going to be a y equals a equation where a is the point of intersection. Undefined. An undefined slope is a vertical line. If you can see, this isn't even a function. Why is it not a function? Because at this particular x value, you have all these different y's. And you can't have a different y for the same x. So that's not even a function, okay? But when you have an undefined slope, the equation for that will always equal x equals a. Why? It never goes to the y-axis. Y has nothing to do with it. So in this particular case, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 right there. So this equation will be x equals 5. So again, gentlemen, if you have a zero slope and an undefined slope, I'm already giving you a little bit of a key to the city here. You have a zero slope, and it's going through a point, okay? The equation is y equals the y value of the point that it went through. If you have an undefined slope, and they give you a point that it's going through, the equation is x equals the x value that that line is going through. Zero slope, y equals a. X undefined slope, x equals a. Does that make sense? Okay. May I continue? Okay. Thank you. Now, what is the slope of each given line? Okay. There's several ways to find slope, guys, and one of them is just to find it right off of a graph, of a line. First of all, this first slope, is it going to be positive or negative? How do you know it's going to be positive, my brother? No, but there you go. When you're going left to right, we're increasing. Good job, my brother. So, guys, it's literally this easy. A lot of people start putting in the points and making the equation. That's fine, but stick to easy stuff. Know what you're doing. I'm going from this perfect point, I'm going up 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. So my slope here is my rise of 2 over my run of 3. And if you continue, you're going to continue the line. Up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. If I go backwards, down 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. The slope is constant throughout the whole entire line. Does that make sense? Yes, sir, my brother. Thank you. Fall would be like this guy right here with the green dots, my brother. Here it's going down and it's negative because I'm going down from left to right. So here I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4. I went down 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope here is negative 4 fifths. So if they give you a line, literally find 2 perfect points from left to right. How did I go from my furthest left point to my next point to the right of it? How did I do that? Did I go up and over? Did I go down or over? That's my slope. Talk to me, kid. You got it? From? Has everyone else got it? Okay. So how about this guy? Will this be a positive or negative slope here? Okay. And what's my slope? I'm going down 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to the right 2. So I ran 2. So my slope is negative 3 halves. Yes. Very good. Excellent. How about this next one? It is going to be a positive slope. What is it going to be exactly? I went up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So my slope is my rise of 2, my run of 3. Great job, son. Yes, sir, my brother. Okay, let's do it, Bob. Oh, my slope. Actually, my m, let me just make sure. My slope, which equals m, that's undefined. Now, just for giggles, what's the equation for this? X equals negative 6. My man. Good job. Does that make sense? You understand why I did that? Guys, I'm telling you, this is so easy once you learn it. I see it on SATs all the time, and I see guys crumble. Yes, sir, my brother. Because whenever it's first of all, thank you for your question. Whenever you have an undefined slope, it's an x equals equation. Remember we went through that on the last page. So then this automatically, whenever you have an undefined slope, well, let's ask this question. Is this going through the y at all? Does it go through the y-axis at all, Bubba? Yeah, it's straight line going through the x, right? So it's only going through the x. So that means that this is an x equals -6. Whenever you have an undefined slope, it's an x equals equation, and no y will exist there. When it's an undefined slope, only when it's undefined. Yes, sir. Look at this one. Well, great question. For the y, it's right here. What's the slope here, brothers? So my slope is 0 here. But what's my equation? Y equals -2. Because when I have a 0 slope, I have a y equals equation. You got it? Thank you, my man. Thank you for your honesty. Does that make sense, gentlemen? Thomas? Yes? Okay. Now, the most popular way that they're going to ask you to find slope is by actually giving you points. Remember that my slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So what is the slope of the line that passes through the given points? So I'm a big repetitious kind of guy. So what do you think I'm going to first do? Label, thank you. x1, y1, x2, y2. Now it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Please notice what happened here, guys. Please pay attention to this right here. Most people are going to do this. x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and they're going to put a -3. Why is this one in green wrong? Sir, you didn't subtract it. Very good. You have to subtract it, guys. You have to subtract that. So what really happens here, yeah, this is 4 minus 7, y2 minus y1 over, again, x2 minus the value of x1. Does that make sense, guys? Talk to me now, boys. Not 2 minutes before the test starts, but now. Yes, sir. Thank you. Of course I can. Thank you for your honesty. So first thing I'm going to do always is I'm going to label. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Now when you're following the formula, follow the formula literally, exactly, verbatim. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus the value of x1, which happens to be a -3. Do not forget this negative here. That's my point. So, didn't want that, but whatever. So I've got -2 minus a -3. So I've got -3 over 1, and that is my slope. That makes sense, guys? Okay, now, for B, I've got here x1, y1, x2, y2. So I got 1 minus 1 over -4 minus 3, which equals 0 over -7. So what's my slope? What's my slope? Oh my God, what's my slope? 0, guys. Okay, guys, I love you very much, but 0 divided by -7 is not 7. And 0 divided by -7 is not undefined. 0 divided by -7 is 0. Okay? Now, for extra bonus here, what would the equation of this line be? What's the y value that it consistently goes through? This is going to be y equals 1. Guys, if it's a 0 slope, isn't it a y equals equation? What is the y value that this is consistently going through? So let's figure it this way. If you're trying to find a slope and they give you the same y values, it's automatically going to be a 0 slope. Yes, sir? You're reading my mind. So if they give you the same x values, the slope will be undefined. But let's go through it. Let's prove it. x1 y1, x2, y2. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is 4 over 0. That's undefined slope. Undefined. Now, just for giggles, for extra, different color. What's the equation? X equals 7 because it's the x equals a, where a is the x value that it goes through. Does that make sense, boys? You promise me. I see guys get this wrong on the SAT all the time. You promise. Okay? Now, let's do it. Oh, Moro, fractions? Yeah, that's the way it goes. x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y2 my. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, so we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now, guys, I know there's fractions. I know. But you know how to do this, guys. You have 1/3 minus 3 over 1. This goes to 3. That goes to 9. So that's going to equal negative 8/3. And then here, this goes to 5. That goes to negative 20. So that's over negative 22 fifths, right? So now, stay, change, flip. Stay, change, flip. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I would cross reduce here. I take out a 2 from here, and I take out a 2 from here, and now I have negative 20 over negative 33, which would equal 20/33. Does that make sense? There's fractions. You're going to have fractions. I promise you. So, my brother. No, thank you. Great question. Even if this was an improper fraction, you never make it into a mixed number because I need a rise over run. If you have it in a mixed number form, I won't know my rises. And if you have it in a decimal form, I won't know my rises. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, sir, my brother. Yeah. No worries. Thank you. So mixed numbers or an improper fraction, you leave it as an improper fraction, please. Thank you, my brother. Okay, next. Well, do we even have to do E? Why? What can we immediately tell? The x's are the same, so this slope is undefined. Just for giggles. Just for giggles. What would my equation be? X equals 4 because x equals a, which is the value of the x coordinate to the point that it goes through. Yes, sir, my brother. No, if one was 4 and one was negative 4, then they're not the same. Only works when the x's are the same, undefined slope, x equals that value. If y's are the same, zero slope, y equals that value. Yes, sir. If the x's and the y's are the same, then it's the same point, and it's just 1 point. Thank you for asking, though. Now here, again, who do we have as the same here? The y's, right? So what's the slope here? Slope is 0. Now what's my equation just for giggles? Y equals negative 3. Does that make sense, gentlemen? You got this, Papa? Yes? And that's it. Any questions at all on the concept of slope? Thank you very much. Have a great day. Hope you learned a lot, and God bless. Bye-bye.